Hey everyone, it's Britt, and in this video, I'm going to walk you through the Gratavid and Bloomerang integration. More specifically, on when a new donation is added in Bloomerang, let's go ahead and take some action within Gratavid. Before I jump into actually walking you through the integration, I do just want to give you a little bit of background knowledge on Gratavid Sends itself. So currently, I'm here in the Note Templates section. You can see I have quite a few notes, but for this example, I'm going to use the Thank You for Donation note. So if I click into here, you can see that the messaging is from Project Fayetteville. And if you look at this, it's kind of more of just generic send. I've added in just a more generic marketing video. So if you wanted to do a generic send and just send a note, you could do this out of the integration. Otherwise, if you want it to be more personalized, you can have it create yourself or maybe another team member a task here in the task list. So really the task list is just a list of personalized videos that need to be recorded. So as an example, I have this task here for John. He made a $500 donation, so I want to personally thank him. Or Katie made a $1,500 donation, so I'm going to personally thank her. So that's really the difference between sending out of the note templates versus sending here for the task list. So now that we got that kind of down, let's go ahead and jump into actually setting up the integration. So I'm going to come over here to the integrations button, and then I'm going to click on Bloomerang. So like I said, I'm focusing on when a new donation is added in Bloomerang. Let's go ahead and take some action within Gratavid. You can see that there's also a Gratavid task sent, Gratavid replies, as well as Gratavid watches. So this is that engagement data that's going to be saved back into Bloomerang, but I'm not going to touch on that in this video. There are other help desk videos on our help desk documentation page for those. So let's go ahead and toggle this on, and then I'm going to click down. So what this is saying is when a new donation is added in Bloomerang, let's take some action within Gratavid. So starting off with the default rule, right now it's do nothing, but maybe you're like, hey, let's have it create me a task. But you're like, well, wait a minute, like that's gonna create a bunch of tasks because it's everything coming in. So maybe we don't want that. So then you're like, hey, let's send a note. But then you're like, oh, but then everyone's gonna get something generic, and you don't really want that either. So what we are gonna do is we're gonna keep that default rule as do nothing. Then what we're going to do is we're going to add in some rules. So click this add rule button, and starting off with rule number 1, when a new donation is added in Bloomerang and it's a constituent's first gift, let's go ahead and create a task and let's assign it to someone on the team. So for the sake of this, I'll just assign it to Sarah, the executive director. So that one's good. Now let's go ahead and add another rule. So you'll click this add rule again, and let's say the gift amount is greater than or equal to $500. Awesome. Let's create a task. And again, let's assign it to someone on the team. This time though, I think I'll assign it to Jared Officer. So now what this is saying is that when a new donation is added in Bloomerang, it's first going to start off with rule number 1. So it works as a waterfall. So if it is a constituent's first gift, awesome. It's going to create that task and assign it to Sarah. If it's not, it's going to move on to rule number 2, which is saying the gift amount is greater than or equal to $500. Let's create that task and assign it to Jared. So that's those first two. Now I'm just going to add one more rule that's just for this basic setup. So let's click add rule again. And this last one is going to be the donation type is any of these. So I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to choose recurring donation. Again, create a task and assign it to someone. This one I will assign again to Jared Officer. So what this is saying is anytime that someone sets up recurring donation payment, it's going to create a task, automatically assign it to Jared. So that's awesome. So that really is the most basic setup for Gratavid. If you're just getting started, this is what I suggest starting with. But if you're looking to get a little bit more advanced, we now offer milestones. So I'm going to come and I'm going to add another rule. Now this time, I'm going to go to the milestones section, and I'm going to start off with this first one. So this first one is saying constituents' number of donations has reached any of these milestones. So if I click on that, then I can choose maybe they've given 5 donations, 10 donations, 20 donations, 30. You can add as many here as you want. Again, create a task and assign it to someone on your team. So what this one is saying is sometime when it hits 5 donations, someone has given to your organization 5 times, it'll automatically create a task for Luke. Or someone has donated 10 times, it's going to automatically create a task for Luke. So that's how that one is going to work. Now, for the sake of this demo, I'm just going to go ahead and walk through the rest of the milestones as well. So I'm going to click Add Rule again, and then the next one is going to be, this one is awesome. So this is saying constituents' total lifetime giving has reached any of these milestones. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to click on that, and then maybe this is at the 1,000 mark, the 5,000 mark, the 10,000 mark, the 25,000 mark. Again, you can add in as many or as little as you want here, create a task, and assign it to someone on the team. So the awesome thing about this one is, remember in Rule 3, we set up that recurring donation. So maybe you want to thank them when they first set it up. So say someone's donating $20 every month. So you say, hey, thank you so much for setting up that recurring donation payment of $20. But now you're not going to thank them every single month, but it's still cool to thank them when they have like totally given $1,000 or $5,000 or $10,000. It just gives you another awesome way to say thank you. So that's how that one works. Now let me show you the next one. So I'm going to click Add Rule again, and then I'm going to choose this one. Since month, constituents' cumulative giving has reached any of these milestones. So with this one, this is for, we understand, not everyone might use a calendar year. Some people use fiscal years. And this is for like those giving societies or giving matrices. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just choose, maybe their fiscal year starts on July 1st. So what this is saying is since July 1st, they've hit this milestone. So you could do $1,000, you could do 3,000, 5,000. Again, whatever you want to add here, create a task and assign it to someone on the team. So the difference between Rule 6 and Rule 5 is Rule 6 is going off a certain date. Rule 5 is going off of total lifetime giving. So those are the differences there between those two. Now I do have one more milestone to show you. So again, I'm going to click Add Rule, and the last one says constituent has consecutively given for any of these yearly milestones. So if I click on that and get into this milestone dropdown, this is where you could choose, maybe they have given for 3 years, maybe they've given for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. Again, choose as much or as little as you want here. But this goes off the calendar year. So, and it does not work if they skip a year. So if it's 3 years, it would have to be 2017, 2018, and 2019. So that's the only way that this is going to trigger if they consecutively give every single year. So then once you have that set up, again, create a task and assign it to someone on the team. Okay, so that is a lot. So I'm going to kind of go through it again and break it down because I understand that you probably will not have all of these set up at one time, but I'm going to go through and tell you what we suggest having set up for sure. So let's go back up to the top. And rule number 1, if it's a constituent's first gift, create a task, assign it to someone on the team. 100% yes, keep that one because it's super important to thank first-time donors. Then rule 2, the gift amount is greater than or equal to $500. Create a task and assign it to someone on the team. Now, maybe $500 is a little bit too much for you, so you can change the amount. It could be 150, it could be 50, it could be whatever you want it to be. So let's say if I have it as 50, I would then suggest adding this plus add condition, and I would also choose the donation type as any of these, and then add in donation or other here, because this way it's not going to pull in those recurring donation payments that we have set up later on a different rule. So that's what I suggest there. So again, this amount is totally up to you, but know that you can change that. Okay, rule 3, the donation type is a recurring donation. So let's create a task and let's assign it to someone on the team. This one is fun because that means that they're continually giving to your organization, so that should be something that should be thanked as well. If you want to add conditions to this, you certainly can. So you could say the donation type is any of these, plus the gift amount is greater than or equal to $100, and maybe it is from a certain fund or a certain campaign or appeal. You can pull from where they live, their state and province, or maybe they have bumped up their giving amount from the last time. So you could also choose that. So let's go ahead and choose a campaign. Give this a second. It'll pull in the campaigns that we have, and that way you could choose certain ones. But Again, this is all optional. Okay, so let's just say first campaign. So that gives you an idea. If you want to stack things, you certainly can. Now this one's optional. If you want to keep it, you can, but I wouldn't say it's the most important. So I'm going to get rid of that one. Now this one though is one that I definitely would want to keep because that recurring donation, like I said, maybe it is only $20 a month, $30 a month, but when they hit a new tier of like consecutively giving $1,000 or $5,000, that's something that should be also celebrated and thanked them for. So I definitely do suggest keeping this one. And then I won't worry about this one as much. Again, up to you. This is more for those giving societies, like I mentioned. And then this one, if you want to keep this one, you can. If you don't have to. So going back, these are the ones that I do suggest. First gift and assigning the task, the gift amount being equal to a certain amount, or maybe it's from a certain type, recurring donation, and then also the total lifetime giving. Now, one last thing I do want to mention is if you come down here, we do have exclusions available. So if you wanted to exclude certain donation types, you could. So maybe you do want to exclude recurring donation payment. Sure, that's fine. But the one catch here is you cannot have that as an exclusion if you use any milestone event. Do not add that down there because that's how it triggers the milestone event. So instead of adding it here, that's where I would just come up to this second one and have the and if statement and the donation type being donation. Okay, I know I did a lot of talking. If I went too fast, please slow down the video, but do not hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. And that is how the Bloomerang Gratavid integration works.